Oh, great. Okay, finally connected to chat. Okay, I'm going to wait for a few seconds to get the room populated, if it does. While I do, I'm going to give some background information about this topic. This is a YouTuber family. The mother's name is Myka. I'm going to say Safer. I've seen a few of their videos, but I really don't watch them. They're kind of off of my radar as far as the people that I regularly watch. I'm sorry, there's a fly in here and it's distracting me. But they were trending for a while, and this really broke out 2 days ago, and I wanted to get some of my friends' opinions before I made this video. Some friends who have made this journey, and some who are in the autism community, some who are in the YouTube community, and some that are in both, as far as displaying their disabilities or talking about family dynamics with disabilities. And I haven't really seen one from the perspective of someone with a disability. But the people that I do talk to, like I said, they've lived a life, they've walked the walk. So I value their opinion extremely. I just value their opinion very much. And so, like I said, even if I don't agree with them, I still value their opinion on both sides, because there's opinions on both sides. So basically, this family who has other children already, but they decided to go through the adoption process through China, and adopt a young boy with special needs. And they did everything publicly, so they broke the news, they went to China, they documented their whole journey with adopting this little boy. And they have a blog that's very, they are influencers, they have quite a big following, but they do everything very model-like. And when I mean model-like, I mean your typical, like, Susie Home Baker, your Home and Garden magazine type of family, matching sweaters at Christmas, the pretty part of parenting, the pretty part of, having that perfect family, somewhat well off, and who could afford to adopt overseas and adopt this child and afford to give this child what they need, supposedly. Now, he was adopted fairly young, I believe at 2 going on 3, and now that he's a little older, they've had him for 2 years, and they just stopped putting him in the videos. And people were kind of questioning it, and every time it was questioned, it was never acknowledged. And sometimes the person who questioned it got blocked. So more important people were asking, and so they really couldn't hide it anymore. So she came out let's see. Oh, there's 6 people in here. A few days ago, her and her husband, and they broke down and said basically that they had rehomed him. Now, for those of you who don't know what rehoming is, think of it like a pet. Pet doesn't work out, you find a new place for them. It's not your own. You find someone else to give them to. Now, the internet is in an outrage over this. They say, well, it's not a pet. You can't just give him away to someone. You threw him away, you abandoned him, you're not real parents, just everything under the sun. Um, that you used him for monetization, you used him to grow your YouTube channel, and then threw him away. There's just so much backlash that they received from it. And then there are some people who are showing them support. Now, they have a huge platform, so they're going to get people on both sides, period. That's almost with every YouTuber. Unless they do something really, really heinous, it's always that way. There's always two sides to every coin, that sort of thing. Let's see here. I still have 5 people. Great. So I see both sides of this coin, and I've spoken to both people, and they both make valid points on both sides when I speak to friends on either side. Those who either have someone with a special needs or are someone with a special needs, they're basically, most of the time, are with this is pathetic, she should never have done that, you give your heart and soul to your kids, she should have just taken them off YouTube, and, she should have just given everything, to the kid, and, you try hard, you don't give up on children. Basically that line of thinking. She couldn't do this to her own kids, so she did it to him, because, they weren't a cookie-cutter family anymore, that he didn't match the brand she was going with, that she used him to get monetized. There was all this type of talk. And while I do agree with some of it, I do believe that she felt that she was doing something that she might have thought was altruistic when wanting to adopt him, but the fact that she put it on YouTube, she was trying to get attention. Basically wanted that pat on that back, saying, you're doing a good job, you're giving him a home, what wonderful people, you're taking this little boy that nobody wants, you're saving his life. Now the family did say that they were not aware of all his needs as far as autism, and that sort of thing. And some people are saying that's a lie, because when they adopted, they were aware of some of his issues. And I do have to tell you, just because they make you aware doesn't mean you're truly aware until you live that life, until you're face to face with it. Someone can tell you, he's got temper tantrums. You're thinking in your mind, okay, I can handle a temper tantrum. In reality, it could be a kicking for 5 hours straight, yelling, screaming, blood vessels breaking, type of situation that you're not prepared for. Anytime you deal with children, especially overseas, but children with disabilities are often put in other types of orphanages and institutionalized settings, and so their abuses or neglect is much more extreme, because of the amount of care they need. And so you have, even if they don't have a physical or mental disability, you have kids that, if they come from an orphanage or any sort of institutionalized setting, are going to have special needs, period. And they might be very bizarre to imagine, or they might not fit the right criteria. You may think, oh, he has special needs, we're going to go to Special Olympics and we're going to do all this fun stuff, and in reality it might be very dark instead. So there is kind of that aspect. Not saying that having a disability is dark, but there are darker times where you just won't understand, or you won't meet their needs, or you'll feel like a failure even though you're doing everything right, or you feel like you just can't do it. It takes a very strong person. This is why people with children with disabilities often get divorced, or often 3 out of 4 overseas adoptions end in this type of, they're called disruption, where a parent just can't take their needs, especially if they have physical or intellectual needs. So it's different. I am not in this woman's shoes. I personally have never adopted a child from a third world country. So I can't say this is right and this is wrong. Now, this is where my opinion is going to be a little bit, I don't want to say I'm going to play devil's advocate, but I'm going to look at it from the opposite side, that people, when I mention this, don't get, or it's an unpopular opinion. And just hear me out. Every year, especially during summertime, but every year I hear at least 7 cases where horrible abuse has happened to a child. There was one that I touched on just the other day, where a mother with autism was trying to kill her son. And they end in terrible abuse situations where, they leave the child with the boyfriend or the husband or somebody else, or they leave the kids alone, or something winds up happening and the kids get abused or killed or something, and the parents, I just couldn't do it anymore. I didn't have it in me. I broke, I snapped, I had a nervous breakdown, whatever it is. Just a second. Okay, did I lose you all? Okay. Alright, so I'm back. So now we have the unpopular opinion. So like I said, you hear all these stories of abuse, and I always hear the same comments from people. Why didn't they call somebody? Why didn't they reach out for help? Why didn't they give this child to someone who needs a forever home? There are so many people who can't have children and would love a child, Why didn't they just give the child away to somebody, or put the child in a safer environment? I hear this all the time. And this is, I think, what she did. She couldn't meet his needs. She didn't know what to do. Now, there are reports that there was possible the beginnings of abuse, such as where she taped his hand down to stop a stimming, where he was putting his fingers in his mouth. Now, he could have been biting them. He could have been just sucking his thumb. I don't really know. But again, she felt that she was doing what she thought was best, and she knew she was ill-equipped. And I'm not saying she did the right thing, but I'm saying that she made a choice in saying, you know what? I don't want this kid to be abused by me. I feel that I can't deal with him. He needs more than I can give, emotionally, physically, psychologically, whatever it is. And she found someone to step in. Um, and again, I've never talked it overseas. I don't know what that's like. Um, but from the people that I have talked to, one who she's adopted uh, two children, actually three children from overseas. One from Russia, one from Bulgaria, and I don't remember where the other one was adopted from. Two might have been from Bulgaria. But like I said, she says that she always shows the positive side on her Facebook and on her, Twitter, things like that. When they're eating ice cream and having fun. She says, I don't film or I don't post pictures of them biting themselves or punching walls or taking off their clothes and screaming. She says, that's not for the public to see. They're not a spectacle. And so we forget that there is a side that we don't see, that we don't know. And so I'm not going to sit there and judge somebody for something that I've never done. I've never had that situation, and I hope I never do. Now, because you're basically saying I'm going to commit the rest of my life to this person. And yes, we all do that with our kids, things like that. But I've seen some of the dark parts of disability. It's not for everyone. Some people aren't that strong. And this might have been one of those times. And like I said, 3 out of 4 people who adopt from overseas wind up where they can't do it or they can't handle it or something goes wrong and that child winds up in a different placement that hopefully is better, because that's where they were really supposed to be. I believe almost everything has a reason, has a purpose. So again, I hope this boy is taken care of. And I hope that they can psychologically heal. This would be hard either way, but it's even harder when you have thousands, if not millions of people shaming you and telling you how pathetic and what a horrible person you are, and all these, death threats and all these things, and you already feel bad enough if you've truly given your heart to this child. And so, like I said, while we can sit there and pass judgment, and while we can sit there and say, well, I have a child with disabilities, or, I have this and I would never do that, that's you, not them. And so that's my opinion on that. I'd love to hear what you have to think about in the comment section. The one person who's watching.